Good morning, Clinton Gallagher here, ClintonGallagher.com. Ladies, did you know the people you go to have your hair done and your fingernails done are stinking racists? That's right. Let me tell you about your racist beauticians. In the 1970s, after America lost the Vietnamese War, we started bringing the Hmong people here, Hmong, Hmong. First to settle were in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Now, the Hmong were brought here primarily because they worked for the CIA during the war. If you remember that movie, Good Morning America, remember the bombing scenes of the taverns and the nightclubs getting bombed? Remember the people running away? Those could have been the Hmong players working for the CIA. Why? Because the CIA needed people on the inside who looked like Vietnamese and who spoke Vietnamese to help them. Primarily, they worked as spies to help the CIA discover all kinds of things. So when we lost the war, their lives weren't worth jack shit. That's right, not worth jack shit. So we finally honored our word for something, which is a very nice thing to have learned, and brought them out of there to safety here in the United States. Wisconsin was chosen because, as they said, our geography is a lot like their lands, especially in La Crosse. It's beautiful over there with the hills and the valley areas created by all the glaciers and the bluffs and the river and all that kind of thing. Just beautiful land. So what happened? 70s and the 80s. This came to my attention in the 80s when they started what? They had to work at something. The United States didn't give them jobs. They brought them here to enjoy their freedom. So the ladies, being industrious workers, and they went out into the community, and you see these real little narrow slot shops in these buildings all over, built since the 40s and the 50s, all the way up till 70s and the 80s when these little strip malls started showing up all over. There's real little tiny leftover spaces were rented out by the Hmong ladies. And they started what? Painting fingernails for other ladies. Uh-uh. Bingo bango. You're racist beauticians. Shut them down. That's right. They had them all put out of business. Why? Because the racist beauticians, where you go to have your hair done, claim that painting fingernails can be dangerous to the health and the safety of these women who could they work with dangerous chemicals all day long, and you need specific training and guidelines to go by it. We cannot allow this. Well, every one of them was shut out of business, painting fingernails, because everybody knows. Everybody knows somebody in their lives who died because they had a bad fingernail painting job, right? Everybody knows people were getting sick from bad fingernail poisoning, right? You've heard, ha 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 ha, bullshit. These socialist pigs, like licensed beauticians, have a license to control the economics of the market. Socialism is a form of government that's in every state in America controlling our economies with a license granted by the state to control the means of production. It has nothing to do with the safety, health, and welfare of the public. In very, very, very minor cases, like if you take licensing to scumbag architects, for example, buildings are still falling down Bridges are still collapsing. Shit still happens. Where's the license to protect and preserve the safety, health, and welfare? It's all a crock of shit. And your lady friends and lady families who are working to cut hair and paint fingernails are racists. That's all there is to it. They're racists. And that's a fact, Jack. You could bet your ass.